How's it going, friends and family of the internet? Welcome to the first episode of the Real AF TV podcast, the show where we talk about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. I'm Josh LeBas. On the other end, I got
Tim Wagner.
what up, Tim? We've
Hey,
already put in like an hour worth of chatting before this, but
we
whatever. I'm
totally
still going
did.
to ask you, how is it going?
It's going good. Like, I don't even know if we got to that point before. We just started chatting about stuff and never really got to the niceties of like how are things going. So
That's
it's
true.
it's yeah, it's going well. Uh Nice sunshine outside. Currently smoking some ribs, trying to,
Oh yeah,
on this quarantine, stuck at home and might as well make the best of having to be here all day. So,
right. Seriously. And well, I mean, I guess that's what's finally motivated us to fucking get our asses in gear and do this.
yeah, I mean, there's no better time. So let's dance.
What's on them ribs though before we go? Because I never even asked that. I gotta ask.
Mm. I use Weber rub. I'm like
Mm-hmm.
they always have a like you go like here's the ingredients for the rub. I'm not buying 40 different fucking things. I probably have most of it already, but I'm just gonna grab Weber knows what they're doing. I trust their
Mm-hmm.
products. I use their grills. Uh, you know, but
Oh yeah,
I say
I
grills
totally agree.
plural like I have multiple. I have one, but I I like their it's a KC barbecue rib rub that I put
Mm.
on last night, and it's been sitting in that since like 12:30 this afternoon, and then I threw it in the smoker, and it's been on there ever since, and been smoking for
So it's been
like
a few
2 hours
hours.
now. Yeah, couple hours
Yeah,
smoking in that hickory smoke.
that's
So
all you do, just dry rub.
yeah, dry rub for now. The 3-2-1 method is how I use it. In case you kids out there are learning how to smoke something, where you smoke the ribs for 3 hours, then you take them out and wrap them in tin foil, cook them for another two, then you take them out the tin foil and put your barbecue sauce on it and cook them for another hour. So currently we had the dry rub on. Now we're cooking it for them 3 hours in the smoke, and then next step with the tinfoil. After that, we put on some uh, barbecue sauce, and then they're ready to roll.
Mm.
Hmm.
Is that creepy enough?
Uh,
That's what I was going for. A
like
little creepy vibe.
if we weren't talking about ribs, but like I
Yeah.
get it. I'm talking about ribs. That's just the noise. You can't
Yeah.
not make that noise,
Yeah.
and it's only
Especially
creepy when a
smoked
man
ribs.
does it. If you tell a woman you're making ribs and she makes that noise, everybody's just like, tell her you're making ribs again.
Oh, okay. So that was cooking ribs 101. Let's
Now you guys
let's
know.
jump into yeah. I
Yeah.
guess that's really it. I don't really have anything else on the rib because I don't have a smoker yet. Hopefully I'll get that cardboard box hot plate smoker going this
Yeah,
summer,
we were
but
talking about
that's all
that
I
a little
got.
bit. Yeah. Get that rolling. Those things are sweet, man. Any any way you could smoke something is a good way.
Yeah, seriously. After that time that we cooked and we had the fish and the ribs, it's just like I swear Sarah's been addicted. We walk by this guy who has a smoker every day, and for sure Friday and Saturday now, since we've all been locked up, he's been out there smoking every day. And then we walk by and it's just, oh God,
Mm,
it's good.
yes, it smells so
Yeah,
good. Like I love just smelling fires, but when you're smoking meat,
right.
oh, it's so good.
Yeah,
And
seriously. I never thought about it that way, where it's just fires just smell good. Just burning wood smells good. But
oh,
then
for
when there's
sure.
meat hanging over it, oh my God.
Yeah, you're just getting that meat that you're just getting that fire stink in the meat. Now you're eating that fire stink.
Oh,
Whew. It's
Get that fire stink in my mouth.
fire stink meat. Future,
That one might be a
YouTube,
t-shirt.
future, yeah, fire stink meat. I like that. Future YouTube video right there, where
Oh yeah.
I really want to do it real old school and get like a branch supported by two other branches, and then you just hang the meat off the branch over the fire, and it just gets
Oh
smoked like that.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Oh,
Yes,
dude, that's a fucking really good idea. Actually, I love that idea. Write that one down. Put that one in Slack.
put it on the
Anyways,
books.
speaking of YouTube, our let's just kind of talk about the goals of the podcast. I think we're gonna try to put this on YouTube, right? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. We put
Yeah,
a just a still photo up with the audio behind it.
sure. I mean, we could do it like that, or we could, that's what we'll have to do now because I don't have a camera set up. But
Mm-hmm.
fuck it. Yeah, we can put it on YouTube and we can get cameras set up too later in case people want to
Yeah,
watch it.
yeah. Oh, I could do the video podcast thing. Yeah, we can make that
Either,
happen.
yeah,
So that's actually a great way to introduce myself. Is Josh Sabah? That's me, sort of the producer guy. I'm kind of a geek, nerdy type of person, and and how did I get roped into doing a podcast about fishing? Well, I said if we do fishing for the first part and random topics for the second part, I can handle that because I'm not really a fisherman like Tim. So I handle the production side of stuff as much as I can. But the first part of the Real AF TV podcast is about fishing. Then we'll go into a random topic. Um, Today we're going to do our fishing history for the first part, and then our random take for part two is going to be fishing video game history because I'm a video game nerd, definitely. So you want to jump into our fishing history, Tim? What are you thinking?
yeah, that works for me. And I also like to point out that I am not just a fisherman. I am also a video game nerd. I am not as text or text. What the fuck? I don't know.
Text
I just
works.
said text. I was going to say I am not as tech savvy. I'm pretty decent at texting people. I think most people are these days. Even old people got a slight grasp on it. But I'm not as tech savvy, but I am a very avid fisherman, but also uh, very nerdy into the whole video game scene too. As we currently speak, I am playing Pokemon Go on my phone. Um,
Literally, it's open right now. You're
literally,
watching it for Pokemon to
literally,
pop up.
literally open. There's a special day right now with special things popping up. So if I yell because I get too into this stuff, it's because some cool Pokemon popped up. I freaked out before we
Hell yeah.
started. I freaked out before we started recording because I caught a shiny. So I
And
pretty
that will
pretty
happen.
much how it goes is I'm pretty into catching anything. It doesn't need to be in the water. If I catch something cool on my phone, I'm still like, oh, look at that. I
Woo!
go all Ike and Ellie. Ah,
I,
never give
I
up.
see. Is that Sam Kennison, you mean?
No, Mike Iaconelli. See, Josh
How come
isn't
I
much
don't?
of a fisherman.
Yep, there we go. That was just going to say.
It's
So it's
okay.
something.
It's not everybody's gonna know who Mike Iaconelli is either. He's a pretty famous bass fisherman, and he's got
Okay.
one of the most iconic moments of the sport where he catches a bass like last, I don't know, it's like last little bit of this tournament, and he knows that he only needed so much to be able to move into first. And he didn't know for sure he was
Mm,
going to win, but that last fish he catches, he just goes off.
it was pretty much like he knew it, right?
Yeah.
I
Well,
think I've seen that video before.
he's very animated the way it is. Like he's
Mhm.
just he gets amped when he puts a big fish in the boat. But that
Mhm.
one was like a $100,000 fish to win the Bassmaster Classic, and I think it was his first one that he ever won. So
Oh, even bigger then.
yeah, and I read his book. I listened to his book on audio tape. I don't not much of a reader. I read fishing books, but I listened to his book, and his life was not going super spectacular at the time. So
Mm,
that was a whole lot of
emotion.
emotion coming out at once.
Right. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I've seen that video before, but I didn't know any of that stuff, like the behind the scenes stuff, of course. It's just a great viral video because the more you talk about it, the more I'm like, yeah, you and Sam, I think, both have probably showed me that video.
Oh, Sam probably before me. Like I like Mike, but Sam was super into that video.
That's actually a good spot to say where are we now? Because I want to start with the now on
Hmm.
the fishing and then work our way back because
Yeah.
the reason why I want to say now is because I didn't realize fishing could cause an adrenaline rush. You know that I used to be a big time
Oh
snowboarder.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, and as I started to fade out of the fact that street snowboarding is really hard for a person to do, but also to film, which I was primarily doing was filming street snowboarding. And
Hmm.
it still gives you the adrenaline rush to, be there for try after try after try after try. And then someone gets it and it's your buddy, and it causes an adrenaline rush. And so I just, as I started to fade out of that, I knew that I was going to need more outdoor hobbies because being the indoor kind of kid that I am, it was just like that's not right. That's not healthy. and
Sure.
because of you primarily being such a avid fisherman and always talking about it, and I'm like, man, I can't totally relate to that. I did start to pick up a rod and reel. You remember where did we go? Like Fleet Farm or something like that? I remember me and
Mm,
you went and picked out my first fishing rod as an adult.
yeah, I think it was Fleet Farm.
Yeah, I think it was, and even it's just one of those pre put together because I needed everything. So we just like, I don't know, buy the rod and reel thing combo, like
Yeah,
whatever. Here's
cause
thirty
yeah,
bucks.
I think I did my best at like I'm a pretty avid believer in I mean, you can go out there and catch fish on anything. That's one of my big goals to everything is I want people to understand that fishing is fun and just go out there and do it. You don't need to have the nicest newest stuff to catch fish. To catch them consistently and to like go out there and tournament fish, I mean, that's a different story. You're not going to be able to win a tournament with garbage. But uh
That's
like
just fact.
yeah, but um that being said, like I'm a true believer that you get what you pay for. So I do splurge on fishing gear with rods and reels and stuff, but I think my job was to try to find you the best combo we could for the price cuz
Right.
you were just like, let's go get a rod and reel. And I want to spend, I think it was like $40. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I'll give it a shot.
I do remember that, and because I think it was actually, and I'm not going to put a date on it, but I believe I actually was in school again, and that it was just like snowboarding's super expensive and fishing's not cheap, but it can be if it can be affordable. It can be more affordable because every time you go snowboarding, it could cost you $50 just to get on the hill.
Right. And it's a lot more money before that because you got to get the gear.
Right, exactly. Yep. And
So,
so I figured fishing was going to be something I could pick up without having to drop hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars before I started it again. Because, of course, and I'm not going to get too far into the beginning part of it because I don't think we're quite there. But like as a kid, you fish. That's just what you do in Minnesota. So to
hmm.
come back to it as an adult was, uh, I don't know, it was different. That's for sure. And I figured a lot of shore fishing was going to happen, which kind of did. River fishing for the first time happened as an adult, um, but it wasn't like a big deal. Like I didn't really care the body of water. I would just like text you and then you would tell me what to fish with. It was pretty cool. If you remember, we pulled a pretty big smallmouth out of
Mm-hmm.
the Crow River. Uh, just because you said, "Oh, you're going in that river," I know, and you kind of gave me a guideline, and sure enough, we pulled out a big old smallmouth. That was a rush, and that's
Yes.
when that might have been the
Smallmouth
first
in a
time I
river
realized, like,
is,
holy shit, you can get an adrenaline rush from fishing.
yeah, dude. A smallmouth in a river, like those river system fish understand current and how to use it to their benefit. And smallmouth have got to be like the best fighters, pound for pound, that I've fought, in my opinion. I'm sure there's
Yeah.
people out there
Yeah,
that are
I
going to
remember
be
you
like,
saying that
have you
when I
ever
sent
fought
you that
this
photo. You were
grouper? Like,
just like, "Oh,
no.
that must have been pretty intense." I was like, "I
I
wasn't
live
even the
in
one who was catching it, but I
live in
still got a
Minnesota.
huge adrenaline rush from it."
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
for sure. When you see even other people on your boat, like when you get the thing in, like whatever it happens to be, like when you see it, my wife has put some pretty big walleye in the boat, bobber fishing,
Mhm.
and just like when
Bobber
you
fishing?
see, like slip bobber with a leech, the
Oh,
biggest
sure.
the biggest walleye, she has caught the two biggest walleye out of both of us because,
Oh, damn.
yeah, we got to a certain spot and she didn't feel like doing anything else, and I'm just like, put on this leech here and see what happens. And twice she's caught like a high 20 inch. I can't remember the exact. I think one
Mhm.
of them was like 26 and one was like 28 or something. Admittedly, I haven't been into walleye fishing for that long of my life. I haven't had a lot of electronics and stuff. Um, but I've been getting into them a lot more recently. So I've
Yeah.
I've
Well,
been.
that's actually a good place to start, I think, with you, because for me, basically, I'm already summed up with where I am now. I just have a rod and a reel, and as I can, I improve my
Mhm.
gear, and I just go out with anybody at who wants to go fishing. They'll just hit me up. I'll go fishing with you for sure. I got a license and I got gear, but like I don't pursue it like you do.
Yeah, yeah. No, I pursue, like, I fish for everything, and I think the main reason I hadn't been super into walleye is because I'm not a very patient fisherman. And I recently learned that you don't have to be super patient to catch walleye.
For
So
walleye?
that's kind of the turning point for me. Like I can still fish it relatively fast. Like I can still go out there and work a jig pretty quick. I don't have to slowly drag a Lindy rig on the bottom and, you know, just
Mm-hmm.
turn on the trolling motor and go at like a half a mile an hour driving a thing across the bottom. Like you don't have to fish like that. That's how I thought you caught walleye for the longest time. I thought
Mm-hmm.
like this
Well,
is
that
all.
is,
I mean, that's a super effective way. That's how a lot of people do it. But when I when I learned that I could just go out there and use, like, I mean, I think I tried a couple of times when I was younger and I just wasn't where the fish were and I gave up.
mm-hmm.
Like I didn't catch any walleyes. I was trying for walleyes. I didn't catch them. I'm giving up. Like, and it was just like later in life, I'm just like, oh, I just wasn't where the fish were. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that
And
kind
that's
of
kind of where
changed
you are
everything.
now, is like you've realized that with walleyes.
Right. Yeah. So now I'm fishing walleyes a little bit more because before that, um, I've been huge into bass my whole life, and I've been fishing muskies as well because both of those are like just keep casting, you know, just keep moving,
Yeah, yeah. When
hit this
when we
spot,
met,
just
like what, 20 years ago? Must have been. Yeah, it has to have been 20 years ago already, right? Jesus, it's crazy to think about. But
yeah, it
yeah,
would have
I
been like
remember.
99 or something.
Yeah, 99, 2000, so like 20 years ago. Jeez, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Time flies. But yeah, when we met, I remember uh going up to your cabin for the first time, and that was what you did. Like, you bass fished. Like, that's what I thought. I was like, "Oh, yeah, Tim's a bass fisherman." Like,
Mhm.
you would get largemouth all the time up there.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I'm still uh just an avid angler of any kind. Like, I love catching everything. If it's big for the species, I'm into it. I love fishing for crappies. I love fishing sunfish. Like, it doesn't matter. Catfish. I've never targeted carp, but that would be fun. Like, I just like
Yeah.
fighting. I just like fighting fish. When you see that it's big for its species, it's just like, oh, that's a big one. It's not exciting to
Mm-hmm.
catch a small sunfish, but to catch a big sunfish, sweet. I'd rather catch a big sunfish than a small bass. I'd rather catch a big bass than like a small crappie. But as long as it's big for whatever it happens to be, or something
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah,
caught
like,
before
even
too.
just oh, okay. What
Yeah.
do you wanna say about that? I
Well,
because I don't
just
know.
I mean, like, I've caught a couple of dogfish, and that's
Oh,
exciting. Like, they're not
yeah.
big, but you get them up and they're like, and you're like, what is this? Why is it barking?
That's right, I forgot. So, yeah, that's one of those fish that makes noise when it's out of the water. I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever heard that in real life.
No, it's got like a swim bladder or something. It's very weird. Like, that's what they call
Oh,
it, a
yeah.
dogfish, because it kind of sounds like it's barking.
Hmm, that's crazy. That's
Yeah.
super weird. But now, yeah, you're just kinda you fish everything, it seems like.
Everything. Avid fisherman. Um, and I just, whatever I feel like I'm gonna have success for, or sometimes my stomach guides me to,
When
where
you're
I'm
just
just
like, "I wanna
like,
eat crappie today."
yes, I want to eat some crappie. Like, I want to have a fish fry. Like, that's,
Mhm.
so let's go get that.
Yep. I'm big on that. I'm big on the food side of things. I know that one
Hmm.
time we went out catfishing, and that was with Sam too. That one time we went out catfishing, man, that
Yes.
was oh, I love catfish. I want to do that
Dude.
again so bad.
Yes, I want to go fish. That was an impressive lake. It through all throughout high school. Like, I always thought that was just a garbage lake that had nothing on there, and we were just like, I don't know if I don't know a whole lot, admittedly, about catfish, but
Hmm.
we were having a lot of fights, and I think we only landed one. Like, I don't know if we were using the wrong hooks or what, but
Or
we
not
were.
having a net too, because I know that someone ended
Oh,
up
that's
breaking a
right.
pole that day.
Yeah, no, he broke a net.
He broke a net. That's
I
what it
think
was.
I think we had the net, and I think we had one that I think he had a big one on, and it
Hmm.
spazzed out and it ripped apart his net and got away, and then we didn't have one to use the rest of the time. Like, so we lost
And
that
that's
fish, and then
hmm.
we had no net. So then we're just like, well, now we get to try hand land catfish.
Which it worked for one.
Right, we got
They were
one of them
big.
in. I remember Sam had a bigger one on that broke the line and everything. So it's just
Hmm.
we were we were not prepared. I think I was kind of, I don't know. Sam was like, "We can catch catfish on here," and I'm thinking like, yeah, if we go for catfish, we just leave stuff sit on the bottom, and we might catch one in like 3 hours. And it was like cast after cast, we had the bobber keep going under, and that was another
Hmm.
thing too. I didn't even know that you bobber fished. Like, you
Yeah,
could.
for catfish. Hmm.
I thought you used like sinkers. I thought they were on the bottom. Like, I
Right.
don't know. Catfish is
Like, you
something
just let it fall
I
all the way to the bottom and then hope they just find it, right?
Yeah, like, they just forage on the bottom. Like, well, from what I thought they just like were on the bottom looking for food, and you just put something stinky and casted it out there and let it sit on the bottom, and they'd come and find it.
Mhm.
I didn't know that you could
Yeah.
suspend it off the bottom and they'd come still eat it.
Yeah, it worked
So
like crazy, and
it
I
it
guess
worked really well.
we've talked about Sam enough too. I guess we should just sort of explain. We'll get Sam on here for sure at some point, but he's just
Yeah.
a mutual friend of ours who enjoys the outdoors quite a bit. And Yeah, we've had some good fishing experiences with that guy for sure. It's been
Hmm.
and that was first that was actually one of the first bigger fishing experiences after I had, got my rod and reel and became a fishing adult, as I'll say. That was good. That was a good one to get me back into it. But I would let's go back to the beginning because I will get through my beginning of fishing really quickly, and I don't even know if me and you have in the 20 years we've known each other. I don't know if we've ever even really talked about this, but we had the old red Lund with the 25 horse off the back. You know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about?
Hmm.
Oh yeah. So we had that for a hot minute when I was a kid. I must have only been like between 5 and 7. Those are
Yeah.
really my first memories of fishing. We had that thing, and oh my god, I was so fucking scared it was gonna tip all the time. I don't think I have one enjoyable experience in that boat because I was so fucking scared of it just capsizing.
Dude, when you got more than one person in it, those boats can be a little bit shady. That was my first like solo setup too. I had a red 16-foot Lund, just the bench seats with a
Yep.
1960 9.9 horse Johnson motor on it. Tiller.
Dude.
That thing turned on a dime though. Like I'd be going and I just put it to the side and we just do circles like phew. And by we it was me and my sister most of the time. And
Okay. Yep.
yeah,
You're
but
pretty young when you had that then. I
yeah, I'm
don't know
pretty
if I
sure I had
remember.
my own boat before I had a car.
Really?
Yeah, I think I had that little red Lund when I was like 15.
Damn. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because there's no need to have a driver's license for the boat. I don't know how that works exactly, but right, you don't have to have a
There's
driver's license for a boat.
there's something with like a the horsepower or whatever. I think as
Mm-hmm.
long as it's a small enough engine, you're fine.
It's considered a recreational vehicle or something like that, and that you
Yeah.
don't have to have a
Right.
license for it.
Yeah. And there
Yeah,
might be some other stipulations to that too, but I already had like the snowmobile safety permit.
that's what
So
it is. I can almost guarantee it. Like that's all one rec vehicle, rec license. I
yeah, I
think
think
if I
it's like a
remember
rec
that.
license. So I already proved that I could drive something with an engine, I think is how it worked, but
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think so too. Yeah, someone will probably correct us. But anyways,
yeah,
that's
fuck it.
crazy. I never thought about it. You had a boat before you had a car. It just proves
Even
how
if it was
much you've been fishing in your life, or how you
yeah,
love fishing, I guess.
oh for sure. Yeah, even if it was illegal. Statute of limitations, bitch. I don't give a shit. I was, I was breaking rules if it was illegal, and you can't do nothing about it. That was 20 years ago.
Outlaw fishing.
So, but yeah, that's
That's crazy. I never thought
so.
about that. I basically had the same exact fishing experience though with that. Like that was my first those bench seats and shit. And this little kid, man, I was so scared of it with the
Yeah,
Snoopy fishing pole
I
and
mean
shit.
that wasn't my first experience. Was my parents had this older like
Oh, I know that wasn't your
yellow.
first. I guess I didn't mean that. Just
Yeah,
I want to clear.
right. No, but
Yeah, I know
they
that wasn't your first. That was just like your first boat was like my first life experience of fishing.
right. Yeah, and I didn't do a ton of fishing when I was younger. Like, um, I think it was more so because my dad was the kind of guy that, and I think a lot of people were back then. Like electronics weren't what they were today. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't as easy for everybody to get educated on how to catch
Mm-hmm.
fish. So it'd be like, yeah, we're gonna drive in the water and we're gonna go from deeper water in shallow, and we're gonna as soon as we see the top of weeds, we're gonna anchor and we're gonna fish in this
Mm-hmm.
spot. Like no real good reason. And that's how we would go, and we wouldn't always catch fish. And
Yep.
I mean, it's not like you're gonna catch fish every time, anyways. But that's what we would do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember it too well, but I guess like when I was really little, we'd go out fishing, and I'd give every fish that was caught an M&M and M and a sip of my juice box, and then toss them back. Like,
I love it. I
yeah,
love it.
here's your M and your juice, and have a good day. Thanks for participating. But
Oh my god, that's awesome.
no, then like I really got into fishing when I was you know 15 or whatever when I got that boat, and I started being able to do stuff on my own, and I started being able to
Mm-hmm.
just like I I didn't have a trolling motor or anything. I'd get up in the front, and they had just that one tiny little bench in the front, and I'd paddle with my oar, and I'd see bass, and I'd see other fish, and I started catching the bass like, you know, it'd be like a two
Mm-hmm.
pounder, but it'd be like, oh my god, that thing is huge,
And when
because
you say see, you mean like literally like you got your polarized glasses on, the lake's so clear you
I didn't
go
even
up
have
to some
polarized
reeds and
glasses.
you
I
can
don't even
see
think I
them?
used sunglasses. Yeah, I don't even think I used sunglasses
Holy
back
shit.
then. Like I'd,
Jesus.
I, yeah, it's the sunglasses
But
made
you
it
mean
harder
it
to
like
see
you
in
could
the
literally
water.
see them with your eyes, right?
Right, yes, yeah. The sunglasses made it harder to see in the water because I didn't have polarized lenses. I didn't know about polarized lenses back then. So I'd be
Mm-hmm.
like
Right.
no sunglasses going and I'd see them. Yeah, and then I started, that's how I got into sight fishing. And now that's one of my strong points. Like I'm so good at sight fishing.
Because you had to fish like that.
Right, that's how I got started. Like you could see like from a distance. I mean, you can't do it on all bodies of water, obviously. Like if the water's dingy and you can't see shit, then you can't see shit. But the
Right.
the lake that I grew up on is very clear water, and I could see from a ways away the fish, and I'd cast to them, and I'd get them to eat it. So like to this day, fishing a weightless fluke or like a weightless worm, whatever. I actually had the banjo minnow for a while,
Oh yeah.
and
I
people
remember
could
that thing.
say
That
what
was a
they do. People could say what they want, but I murdered the bass on those that banjo minnow. But
yeah.
then they changed it. It's different now, different than what it used to be. But I used to do so well with that banjo minnow, and
Hmm.
I'd cast out to those fish that I could see, and I really started learning how to catch the fish. Um, I wouldn't even feel them. I had such uh, shitty quality rod and reel kind of to start that I didn't know what I was
Mm-hmm.
doing, and I just kind of make the minnow move, and I was using like bright ass fluorescent chartreuse minnows in this clear
Oh
water,
yeah.
which is more
Mm-hmm.
proof to anybody that if you're out there like somebody telling you, "Oh, you're not going to catch anything with that." There's nothing that says on a clear cloudy or a clear day with no clouds, no wind that you should be using a bright ass chartreuse color in gin clear water. Like everything is like the fish, probably aren't going to be into that. I slayed
Uh-huh.
them on it, but what I would do is just kind of make it move like a dying minnow, and I wouldn't feel the bite. I'd just keep fixated on my green minnow, and when it disappeared, I knew that a fish
Boom.
sucked at
Then
it.
you do it. Yeah.
Yep, and I'd
Nice.
set the hook, and
It's
I
funny to me. Well, it's not. I guess it's kind of weird because as you, well, I mean, there was a bigger period there because we think the last time we had a boat was probably when I was like 10. I'm gonna guess
okay,
10. And then it could have even been younger. It could have been like that last Lund. We've had another boat after that for like a year. And then I would say as you picked up, I was definitely like, I don't even know. Fishing's not a thing that I do. So like I have this big gap in the middle of my life where I was just not fishing. I was ice fishing and stuff like that as a kid. I remember driving out on the lake and seeing the plows because the ice was so thick. They were literally plowing roads out on the lake. And I did that a couple of times when I was a kid, but then there's that big gap of like, from 10 until I don't even know when, but like those teenage years, you picked up fishing and I totally just like fell off. I didn't even have a rod and reel, nothing.
right, yeah,
Did you ever get outside of Minnesota at all?
fishing.
Yeah, have you ever well, I mean,
Uh,
yeah, I know we did the ocean fishing for your wedding and stuff like that, but like
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've that one that we did together in Jamaica, um, and then I went fishing in, um, St. Thomas, St. John's. It was like in
Mhm.
the water in between the two.
Okay.
Um, but those both of those times were just trolling, and somebody else, basically put a fish on the line and we just reeled them in. But I have been
Mhm.
fishing in Florida one time,
Oh.
and I really wish that I could remember the name of that guide so I could tell everybody, hey, that guy sucks shit. Don't go to him. Because he
What kind
asked,
of fishing was that?
we went bass fishing. I found a charter to go bass fishing, and I don't know anything about Florida lakes. I know that they're a lot different and that they're kind of
Mhm.
murky, and also that they got
Mhm.
gators down there. So I'm like, yeah, if you guys could, kind of show me where to go so I'm not getting ate, that'd be ideal.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, which I don't think they just come and try to attack you or whatever, but I don't
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Up here, we
But
don't have to deal with scary shit like that.
right. But I um I went there and he was like, "Do you want to use artificial or live bait?" And I'm like, "Artificial, please.
Mhm.
I'd really
Because
like to
that's what you
go.
fish with up here
Yeah, I'd
mostly.
like
Is you
to.
just know how to work the artificial bait. So let's
Right.
go.
Yeah. And I knew it was like right at the down there when we went. It was like right when the fish should have been spawning. So I'm like, this is perfect timing. Like
Mhm.
I got real odds of putting a big old girl in the boat.
Mhm.
And we went down there, and the guy is like, um, he gives me he he first tells me that he is a tournament fisherman, and I'm just
Okay.
like, sweet. Like this guy knows what he's doing. And he
Yeah.
proceeds to like braggingly open up his rod box and shows me all of his nice Abu Garcia Veritas gear, and I'm like, "Oh, dope. Like I even get to use quality stuff. Like I'm not just going to be using some garbage." And I have no
You're gonna
idea.
have to pause for a second and explain Abu Garcia to this guy.
Mm,
Yeah, I don't even know if I said it right.
you did. Yes, Abu Garcia, ABU space Garcia. I don't need to spell Garcia. You
No.
get it.
Nope.
Uh
Yep.
and they are a quality uh rod and reel company, and they make good
Are we talking
stuff.
like
And
BMW?
yeah, like
Okay.
if you're talking, it's not domestic stuff. Like, and not saying that the domestic stuff is bad, but there's a lot of American made.
Yeah, it's like a
Um,
BMW. It's like a German car. Like if you talk to anybody, most people in the United States recognize what a Beamer is, and you just go
yes,
quality German luxury car. I mean, is that a fair
yes,
comparison for Abu?
yeah. I don't know where they're made, but yeah, it's quality. It's quality stuff.
Yeah,
Most
high
of
end for sure.
yeah,
Okay.
most of the rod and reel companies have lower end versions of everything, and they
Okay.
make really good, nice high end stuff. So, um, and what he had, the uh, the Veritas, I have one of those rods, and it's a nice rod, and the Revo Abu Garcia Revo reel is a very nice reel. I mean,
hmm
that rod
hmm
and reel
This is
setup.
what that guy had too. Right.
hmm And that rod and
Okay.
reel setup, I mean, you're talking probably in the realm like retail of uh 200, 250, depending on
Whew.
the reel you're talking.
Whew. Mm-hmm.
So
Damn.
like quality stuff, and
Yeah, for sure.
uh, then he
And he's
gives
just
me
showing this all off to you.
he shows it to me, and I'm thinking like, yes, I'm gonna get to use like decent quality stuff. Like I know how to use this stuff, so I'm not gonna hurt any of it, and
Mm-hmm.
this will be sweet. And then he gives me
Mm-hmm.
some garbage ass old fiberglass rod with some junk reel, and then he has a rattle trap lipless crankbait tied on. So lipless crankbait just doesn't have a bill on it. It's just the body. and it has a real tight wiggle. It's good for using in like colder water situation.
Hmm. And you're in
Because
Florida, so I'm guessing it's not very cold water.
dude, it was early in the year, and for some reason that day, like
Mm-hmm.
that morning, we didn't have any coats. He ended up bringing us some coats, but
Oh,
it
wow.
was it was like 39 degrees when we got there that
Holy
morning.
shit.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I'm not mad at him because he didn't put us on fish. We caught one fish, but I'm not mad at him because of that, because I know the situation. I'm
Mm-hmm.
mad at him because he gave me that garbage ass stuff. He didn't have it
After showing
tuned.
you all this really
Yeah,
cool shit.
well, he didn't have it tuned quite right either, and he's like, "All right, let's go here." And I try to cast it, and I backlash on my first cast, and um, there was like
Backlash
another.
means it's all bunched up inside the reel, right? Like you get
Yeah,
a
yeah, like I,
rat's nest in the
yeah,
reel
yeah,
of a
yeah,
fishing line.
yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
because I know what I'm doing, like I got the rat's nest out myself real quick and reeled it
Sure.
up. But there was like another fisherman that was getting kind of close, and the guy just goes like backlash and like yells like you probably knew who the guy was, but he's just like this guy, and it's like, dude, I'm paying you. Why are you being a dick that I backlashed your garbage? Like this is garbage too. Like if I and I backlashed it on the first one, and then I made a couple shorter casts to try to get a feel for it and learn, and
Right. Yeah.
we had no luck with that. And then he's just like, oh, our best odds are to put on. He had like dead shiners, and he put it on a hook and like casted it out the back. And then we motored through with his big motor in like 2 feet of water. I mean, it was super
What?
dingy, but I'm just like, I do not understand. Like, is this how people fish down here? This is.
Right. Yeah.
He's got like a 300 horse engine in like 2 feet of water, just.
On the lowest setting, yeah.
And we're just sitting there
Because even
like,
on the lowest setting, it's that loud and
yeah,
shitty and just like obnoxious.
yeah, and I
It's a
don't
big
know if
motor.
yeah, and either the water was super dingy or we were just like kicking up the ground or kicking up the soot and stuff on the bottom. I don't even know what you call it, but it was
Mm-hmm.
so dirty. And I
Mud.
think it was like a reservoir because of the way like it was almost like cul-de-sacs between houses that we were fishing. It was a very weird setup too. It was like the water,
Oh, crazy.
yeah, and I think it was, I mean, set up like that where, they're just digging trenches so you can have lake access to all these houses, basically, like they're
Oh.
all they're
Yeah,
all
yeah, yeah. It
available to
makes it more
pull out of
valuable.
these.
Waterfront property.
Right. You're just right on the water, even though it looked like it was all man-made, but there was gators and shit
Mm-hmm.
back there, but we caught one. So it but he was just a dick about everything.
Not a gator. You didn't. You caught one fish, not one
Yeah,
gator.
no, not one gator.
Okay.
We didn't even get too close to the gators, but we were
Yep.
catching just one fish, and it was like, I mean, it
Fuck.
was close to 5 pounds, but it was all spawned out and skinny, and it was cool to
Mm-hmm.
see. Like that probably would have been an 8 pound fish if it wasn't spawned out, because the head on it was massive, but the body was all skinny. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
think we just caught the one fish that was desperate to eat something, because all the other ones were like, I'm not getting close to whatever's making all that goddamn noise.
Right. And this one was all skinny and spawned out and just like ready to fatten up again.
Yes, I
So
need
it
to
was just like,
eat.
whatever.
Yeah, so uh
Fuck.
he
I
was
had no
just a
idea. I mean, I don't know why.
he was
You've
just a dick.
definitely you've had to have told me that story, but I just couldn't remember all of it because that's actually one of the things I want to do or I've wanted to do and I want to do is go further south where the bass just basically don't stop growing and fish with you in those bigger places because oh god, that would be
Yeah,
pull
and
those big
after
bass
that,
in, man. Holy shit.
dude, after that experience, I was just like, if I can get down there and rent a boat, like I know that there's good guides and I know that there's people that'll probably help us get on the water faster. And I mean, maybe I'll do my research a little bit better and make sure it's somebody that people aren't like, hey, don't go fishing with this dick bag. But That that guy just ruined it for me. I'm like, I would so much rather just go out on the water myself because I know how to catch fish. And
Yeah.
even though I haven't fished down here, like I'm
Hmm.
happy to try. Like that's part of the fun is trying to figure it out.
Yeah, you've
Once
always seemed to be the kind of person who is interested in learning and the pursuit of the fish just as much as you are the actual action of fishing. That's what I've
yeah,
always picked up.
yeah. I think that's the same for
Yeah.
a lot of fishermen. Like it's sweet
Yeah.
catching fish constantly, but it's so much more gratifying once you figure them out. That's
And then
where
just
like
start implementing those in real life, like
yeah.
the tactics, I mean.
Well, I mean like every day is different. Like even on the lake where my parents have the cabin, like
Hmm.
I can go out and catch fish most days, but every once in a while something's a little bit different and they don't want what's been working the majority of the time and you got to try to change it up and figure it out. I think that's
Right.
another reason why I've
Yeah.
been getting more into the walleye lately because I'm like this is doable. Like I can figure out these
Hmm.
fish, I can catch these fish.
Right. Yeah.
Where when I was
And that's
younger,
that's
I was yeah, I the that lake's not known for being a great walleye lake either. So I was just like, you know, well they're out here, but I'm gonna have to take all day, and I don't want to do that for one fish.
right. Yeah, for one fish, that because that's all you'd get, or that's what you were afraid of, all you'd get.
Right? Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, and it might not be that big. That's basically what you're trying to do for muskie, but you catch one fish with that. Talk about an adrenaline rush, man. You put a big
Oh,
muskie in the
yeah.
boat, and just like every muskie I've caught, I'm just shaking after I get it. Like, oh,
Hell yeah, I bet you are.
yeah, for sure.
That's it. Actually, that is probably for. I think that that's probably something I should try to do, just to try to go muskie hunting with you. I think that's. I think that'd be a good goal for me in the future. That's what I want to talk about. Is like what, because I already said I wanted to, like, now that we're doing this, and now that I plan on fishing more because of this and stuff like that. There's two things that I want to do. One, if I always wanted to do with you, is just go bass fishing down south where they're just huge hogs. Uh, but the other one I want to do is sturgeon hunting. I've always wanted a sturgeon hunt. I just
Me too.
goes right back to what you were saying about the big fish and the idea that this like monster. And I know there's ways you can do it safely because I know sometimes those big fish like that, you catch them and then they're too exhausted and they end up dying. But I follow this one dude on Instagram and I can't pronounce it, so I'm not even going to try, but I'll figure it out one day. But he's up in BC, up in Canada, and
Yeah.
dude, they're always doing fishing, and to see these things jump out of the water and they're fishing with like ocean, what looks like to me ocean fishing,
Yeah.
it's insane.
Yes. They're massive fish. And for the most part, when you catch fish, if they get exhausted, like they're for the most part they're not gonna die if they're just tired. Like
Okay.
they'll power through. It's
Mm-hmm.
releasing it properly. There's a swim bladder and all this other stuff where you got to make sure that they're ready to go on their own. Like after a
Mm.
fight, if they're exhausted and you don't release them back properly, like a
Mm-hmm.
big muskie, when you let it go and he's not ready to go back in the water, he'll
Mm-hmm.
turn upside down and just float there and he won't
Oh.
recover if you don't
Oh.
help him recover. Yeah. So that's where it comes in. Like you gotta help those fish recover.
You have to properly know how to release a bigger fish is what it comes down to then is
Right.
right.
Yeah, I mean all it is just kind of holding it in the water and you just move it back and forth a little bit and let the water pass over the gill plates and they'll eventually
Yeah.
get their wits back to them and they'll swim off on their own, but you just got to make sure that they can stay level and take off and then they'll be fine for the most part as long as you didn't like hook them real bad or something or you know
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah,
for
you
the
just have
most
to
part
help them
yeah
breathe basically, but like breathe
yeah
easy again without being exhausted, but still get that fresh water over their gills so that they're breathing clean and getting ready to just go again. I'm guessing.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest part is making sure that they get the water back into that swim bladder and stuff because that's
Mm.
what that's what makes them suspend and everything. And after a fight, they exhaust that. They kind of like force the water out, so then you're just dealing with air in there, and that's what makes them want to float upside down at the
Okay.
surface.
Well, what is the swim bladder exactly? I mean, I know like sharks have livers that help them do weird stuff in the water,
Yeah,
but like, what is a swim bladder?
a swim bladder is inside the fish. They literally just suck in water, and it makes them more buoyant or
It like
less
changes
buoyant.
their
Like
buoyancy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like if they suck in
Huh.
water, then they're kind of like the same,
Hmm.
on par with the water as far as buoyancy. That's why like when you see those fish, like I we'll have to try to get a fish on the aquaview or something that's underneath the water, but
Hmm.
they're just like sitting there, like their fins are slightly moving to adjust, but they're not
Hmm.
going anyplace. They're just sitting there perfectly still in the
Yeah.
water. Like if you or anybody listening has ever tried to go under the water, we have lungs that aren't filled with water. So inherently
Right.
we want to float to the surface, but if you expel all your air, like you'll sink because you
You
don't
start
have
to
that
sink.
air.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of that same idea for the fish, but they're taking in water and then they
Hmm.
they just sit there.
They store it in that bladder, in the swim bladder.
Yeah,
Huh.
and when they're fighting, they'll they'll like push it all out.
Right.
I don't know if they mean to or if that's just something that they do, but
Right.
no
When they're using their
more.
muscles, it just like does it just get pushed out, or like you don't know that part, but it's just it
Yeah,
happens.
I mean I don't know everything about how it works, but I know that that's what happens, and
Right.
you gotta make sure that they're ready to go on their own before you let them go. And the
Yeah.
big muskies and I think sturgeon are a lot the same, where you got to make sure that they're good. Like a bass, for the most part, I catch a bass and I can just drop him back in the water as soon as I'm done catching him, and he'll be fine. The
Nice.
same,
Nice.
yeah,
Well,
sunfish,
yeah. I
crappie.
mean, what do you have for like future fishing goals? Like I said, partially motivated by the fact that we're doing this now. We're creating sort of
Yes,
fishing content on the
yeah.
internet.
hmm Well, I have, you know, uh, besides the podcast here, Real AF TV is called Real AF TV because we will be putting out YouTube videos and stuff. So that's a huge goal. I mean, we've been talking about that amongst ourselves a lot. So we're going to be putting out a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of different content as far as videos go, and then um, I want to do another short podcast on Tuesdays, working title, kind of probably Tackle Box Tuesday or something like that, where I just go into some of the gear I use, and just kind of a short little podcast like here's kind of the tip of the day or whatever. But as
Mm-hmm.
far as fishing goes, I'd love to tournament fish down the road,
Yeah.
um, but I getting getting back on the water right now is the number one um, goal,
Future
just with
goal. Yeah.
just with everything being so crazy. I mean, for people listening in the future and stuff, if you're not familiar with it, there is the COVID-19 coronavirus going on right now. So a lot of people are on quarantine, and we can
Mm-hmm.
still go fishing, but they don't want you to be with other people and in smaller groups and all this good stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
my parents have a cabin on Lake Chaminade, and Lake Chaminade has been all over the news because there's no natural outlets for that lake, and the water has been steadily rising year
Mm-hmm.
after year. There are currently 38 cabins, I believe, in the water. Theirs is not one of them. It's on a little bit of a steeper part, so they're safe, but the water is right up to the deck. Um, which isn't where it's supposed to be. They had a front yard before, and there's a fire pit and a sand area and rocks like riprap and stuff down there, and so because of the water being so high, we can't turn the water on. So there's no bathroom that will be accessible.
Yeah, it's a
We're not.
shack right now. Like you have a cabin.
Yeah,
There's a cabin up there. I
right.
mean, it's a full cabin.
There's
You can
yeah
live in there
there's
all weekend long, no problem. Cook food, refrigerator, cold beer, all that good shit.
yeah. I don't know
Comfy,
how safe
but
the
it's a shack right
power.
now.
Yeah, I don't know how safe the power would be right now. I think everything would be okay, but I don't know
Mm-hmm.
where that wiring. Never really paid attention to if all that wiring
Mm-hmm.
is underground. I think it'd still be
Right.
okay, but I don't know. I'm
Right.
not trying to fuck with it. And there's no dock or
Right.
anything, so like
Well, you can't dock right now, right? Because like you can't get the dock in because you can't get to the part of the lake where the dock's supposed to be. Is that wrong?
right, I mean you could put in a dock, but it'd be like just in the yard and there's no point. I mean, there's only like a foot of water on the grass, so where the water
Mm-hmm.
actually gets deep, we'd have to have like an extra 100 feet of dock section to be able to get it out that far.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but like even putting your boat in, like the boat
Right.
landing where everything is set up is super flooded, so you can't even get to where that is to back your boat in. So I
Yeah.
don't even know if anybody can use that lake right now. I'm sure there's ways of getting your boat in someplace, but
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, I've been going off on this a lot, but the short of it is there's a virus going around where people don't aren't supposed to get together, so I shouldn't really be trying to go out in other people's boats right now. I can't get up to
Right.
the cabin where I have access to my parents' boat, but the parents' boat won't be in, and we can't really use that lake. My
Mm-hmm.
boat is an older '87 Raging Cajun bass boat, and the
Woo.
motor the compression is all off, so that motor's shot. So my boat is not working, and it's
Mm-hmm.
basically time to fish from shore. So the current
Mm-hmm.
goals are like just finding a way and spaces to get out there fishing where I'm not gonna have law enforcement being like, "You're not supposed to be by people," or whatever. I don't
Yeah,
think it'd
yeah,
be too
yeah, for
bad.
sure. Like those. Yeah, no, and even in flooded water, sometimes there's that whole there's restrictions of how you can fish and stuff like that. Like you don't know, maybe boats aren't even allowed on the lake right now. I don't know if you know, but it just happens with flooded water, or with
Right. Yeah,
lakes,
and
bodies of water
this
that are over
yeah,
full right now.
yeah, and this one is like nobody's ever seen this before. This isn't something that happens.
Hmm.
This has never happened. There's people that have their year-round houses that are flooded, and they're like really in a hard spot because they can't go to their house, but they're supposed to stay home.
So
So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just it's a real shitty situation for them.
yeah.
But
No kidding.
yeah, no, I mean future goals. In short, beyond
Beside the immediate future.
yeah, besides the immediate future, I love
Uh-huh.
catching new fish and catching species of fish that I haven't caught before. Oh,
Hmm.
I when we were talking about Florida before, I have been fishing to
Right.
Florida when I was younger too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we went fishing with a different guy. My whole family did. We went down there one time, and I caught. We were catching sea trout, and I caught a channel
Mm,
catfish that was a beautiful, like baby blue color.
nice.
They look so
Yeah.
good when they're down in the
Oh,
ocean.
yeah.
And
Aren't
then
channel cats called blue cats also, or is that a different? I don't know. I should know
I
more about
think
catfish because I love them. But
yeah, I think there's quite a few different species of channel catfish. I'm not sure, but that one I've never
hmm.
seen a blue one like that before.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we caught those trout, and I caught something that was called an oyster cracker. It was just this little tiny guy with this giant mouth, and my mom caught a sheep's head that isn't the rough fish that we have up here. It's a fish down there that people can eat. It's like black and white striped, and it has molars like people. It's creepy looking. It has like a smile when you catch it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
and then my sister caught a stingray, just a little tiny
Oh,
stingray, and a
nice.
puffer fish, and
Really?
yeah, I think my dad caught a little grouper. So we caught quite a few different things down there, but that's I would love to go back and do that. And I've always wanted to catch peacock bass, and there's peacock bass around here,
Oh.
or to
Mm-hmm.
go to different
There's wait, in
countries.
Minnesota there's not peacock
No,
bass here in
no, no.
Minnesota.
I
Yeah,
meant
yeah, yeah.
America.
Oh, there are
But
some in North America?
yeah, I think so. I think
Okay.
I think there's certain spots. I don't think they're native here, but I think there's certain spots that are stocked down south,
Oh,
like in
okay.
Florida and stuff.
Yep.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure
Mm-hmm.
that's a thing I heard of someplace. I
Yeah,
hope
no,
it
I'm
is.
not.
I mean,
Yeah, I also hope
but
people aren't like dicks in the
yeah,
comments like, "Oh, what do you
yeah,
know about peacock bass in North America?" It's like, "Fuck you, dude. I just don't like. I'm not gonna put up with that sort of shit as we start releasing this. It's just like, come on. It's
yeah.
like,
Who
yeah, you
cares? I don't
just
care.
preface you finish that sentence by saying like, it sounds like something I've heard. So, it's
Yeah,
as a future goal. Then you'll do the research when that time comes. It's
yeah.
like,
And even if I'm wrong, I don't give a shit. Suck a dick. If you want to get grumpy about it, whatever. I don't care.
yeah, exactly.
I'm not out there saying this is all facts. But
No.
I just love catching fish. So, I mean, going to different places. I love different scenery. I like seeing how different lakes are laid out. I'd love to go up north and catch stuff in Canada. I'd like to go down south and catch the
Yeah.
bigger fish down there. Um, I'd love to go to different countries. All that different stuff that you see on that Nat Geo thing where the guy's catching those river monsters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'd
Yeah.
love to make some videos of that and show people what it's really like to catch one of those river monsters and not have
Whoa. Are you
25.
saying that guy's dramatic?
Yeah, I'm saying that he's got 25 minutes of like, oh, whoa, oh, so close. And then they finally put one in. I'm also saying that it's the corniest thing I've ever seen to have a TV show where you show here's 2 minutes before we go to commercials, and then when you come back from commercials, here's that same 2 minutes in case you forgot what we just fucking did.
Dude,
I
they're
can't
way too long.
stand it.
Anyways, let's not turn this into hating on river monsters because I
I'm
definitely still watch that show.
It's not a bad show. I just hate how they edit it. I'm not saying anything
Yeah.
about the guy who makes it. I just hate how they show the same 2 minutes before and after the commercials, and I can't stand it.
Yeah,
It
no, I'm
drives me
with you. I don't
nuts.
necessarily care for the editing. I think that guy could have really much better success on YouTube
I like that
where he could
dude.
make a 10-minute video or he could make a 45-minute video just depending on how the actual fishing experience goes.
Yeah, and
Cuz
I get them trying to make it look exciting and stuff. It's
cuz
I
it
mean,
draws in more than fishermen that way,
with
right?
the
Like
yeah,
you
I
can
mean,
the drama of it.
yeah, with the commercials, I think they're hour-long shows. With the commercials, you're cutting it down to probably 45 minutes, and with their back and forth stuff showing you the same thing, I don't
Mhm.
know, you maybe got like 25 minutes of content that they're stretching out to an hour, and you're just like, oh, get on with it. That's my gripe.
Yeah, I gotcha. I totally understand. All right. Well, I for now, let's just wrap up first part and get into our random take. But before we do that, I gotta take a bathroom break. Holy shit, I gotta take a piss, dude. Yeah, and then we'll get back to part two. Our random take topic is fishing game history. I just want to say that again. So get ready. We don't have to take an hour on that one. We won't take an hour on that one.
Did
But
we take an hour on
all
the
right.
first one?
Yeah, I'm looking right now. We're at about an hour already.
Christ.
I know. That's okay. I expected the first one to go long, but anyways, we'll come back. We'll come back and do the part two or the random take fishing games.
Giving you some hold music. What is it, bug type right now?
And we're back to the Real AF TV podcast where we get down with some fishing and random takes. From the land of 10,000 lakes. I didn't
Hmm.
nail that one like the first one, but fuck it, you still get the gist of it.
It's back
We
from
are
break.
back.
You know.
Yeah, we're back from break. Part two. We're going to talk about fish and video games because we already prefaced the beginning with how, we get down with video games too.
Mm-hmm.
We fucks with some video games.
Mm-hmm.
I got to start it out like this, though. Black bass. Come
Oh.
on.
Mm-hmm.
First fishing game ever, right?
I think I don't know. It's the first one I ever played.
First one I ever played. I don't fucking know if it was the first fishing game of all time. Probably not. There's probably some weird shit on like ColecoVision that was fishing, or Atari or something like that. But
Oh yeah, it's probably one of those weird ones where it's just like you got to read the book to figure it out. Like
yeah,
the
that's right. Those used to come with a
yeah,
book, so that way
the
you could play.
the bass is the dot, and you're the yellow dot is the fisherman. And just
When
it's
the
it's
blue
the
dot
same
goes
it's
towards the
it's the same game as every other one, but the backstory makes you think that you're fishing.
yes, exactly. Oh, that was the best. But yeah, we'll burn through this one pretty quick. But Black Bass was my first fishing game ever, dude. I loved that game, and that was when I was still actually fishing. And
Yeah.
I remember just seeing those shadows. It's like every game
Oh
that I've ever
yeah.
played since Black Bass, it still is Black Bass. It's just like with new graphics, essentially. Like that's the way I feel about it almost.
Yeah. I can't remember. There's one fishing game was I mean I had Black Bass and I played that, but there was another one that was real interesting where like we were catching regular fish and it was very arcade stylish and it was real exciting. Like back Black Bass was
On
good.
Nintendo?
No, this was later. Like this was later. Me and my sister used to play this one, and this one must have been around the same time as when I actually started fishing. So
Oh,
it wasn't as
okay.
far back, and that one was super fun because they had like mythical, not mythical fish, like fish that people know are like have been in existence, but I don't think they're around anymore.
Okay.
But I mean, there was like some of them were definitely made up because there was like an American or like a Patriot perch or
Yes.
whatever, and
Uh-huh.
it had like an American flag on it. So, I mean, they were like clearly made up things, but there was like a feral perch. I remember like you start off slow and then we get to the point where we're catching like 1,000-pound fish, and that one I remember the first time we ever landed, like because you couldn't tell how big the fish was when you were fighting it, and it was one of those big catfish. I think it was the coelacanth, which is a real catfish
Okay.
or like
Yep.
a real form of a
I
fish that's like that. I think it's like like an
mhm.
Asian looking catfish. It looks like a giant beta fish, like just massive.
Oh, okay.
But I remember the first time like we're landing it and like kept breaking the line and finally got it in, and then seeing like when it weighed and like you could just barely see the head on the screen because it was so massive and the weight is like 2,000 pounds and you're just like, oh my god! Like me and my sister were just like, look at that monster! I can't believe we just
Oh my
landed this
god.
massive fish.
I can't believe we just landed a 2,000-pound fish.
Can you
Ah!
believe it? And then you go tell your parents and they're just like, wow, that's,
They're like, cool, a video game.
yeah, you
They don't
guys,
get it.
you did it. But then the other one that I was really into, and even my wife likes it, is reel fishing. If you've
That's
ever
actually
played,
what I first Googled when you first said the when you started talking about it, and I was like, wait, was that real fishing?
no,
But no.
real fishing was not arcadey. Real fishing was very realistic. Like it had like animated waves, but it was like a real picture that was animated. You know, like the water was
Oh yeah.
moving, but it was like a real picture that they
But it was a
manipulated.
photo that they
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got you.
and then
That's what real fishing was? I that because that
yeah,
was
and
PS2
you
or was
have
that
to.
PS1?
Uh, I think they had one on the PS1, 2, and 3 because I think
Oh shit.
yeah, I think they had Real Fishing 3 was as far as it went. I might be wrong about that. It might have just been one or two, but I know that there was three of them because I had all three of them.
Oh, okay.
But those ones were really cool because it was all realistic fish. You weren't catching
Mm-hmm.
giant monsters, but you could go different places and you had to wait until certain times of the year even. Like in the
Yes.
game, like you couldn't go here during this part of the year because you're like that doesn't make any sense. And
Yes.
which
Oh my God, that's awesome.
yeah, it was very cool and I learned how to manipulate the time and calendar on the computer on the PlayStation so we could go do these fishings at certain time of
Oh,
year.
oh shit, that's right. Okay, so that was on PS2 then that you did that because that was the first time the PS2
Excuse me.
or the video game system had an internal clock. And I remember there being
Mm,
all kinds of things like during Christmas, you will unlock this in the game.
yeah.
So then you just go turn the internal clock to
Yeah.
Christmas, and the next thing you know, you're snowboarding as Santa.
Right, right,
So
right,
that,
right.
yeah, and that happened in real fishing on
Mhm.
PS2.
Mhm. Mhm.
Holy shit, that's really badass. I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah,
Damn,
it
you
was
still have
pretty
that around?
mm, I don't know if I have two. I
Huh.
have one of them. I have one of them. I might have all three of them. I have to look.
Hmm.
But yeah, yeah, I still have them.
See, I wonder if stuff like that was in those like black bass and super black bass and stuff like that. I wonder if they had what kind of,
Little
because I know
Easter
one
eggs.
time me and you were playing super black bass at the cabin, and it seemed like you were using real fishing techniques even in an older game like that. I
I
wonder if.
always try to use yeah, I always try to fish like they're really supposed to be fished because
Hmm.
that's just how it seems like I should be doing it,
Right.
you
So you
know?
don't know if it's, yeah, we don't know if it's programmed like that, but that's how you play the game.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, it
That was
was
the same way I
definitely
did too.
it was definitely working at the cabin. I was putting fish in the boat.
Yeah,
But
that shit was
but
cool.
yeah, that reel fishing was really cool. I like that one because that was the first time I ever played a game where it was beyond um, here's a crankbait, here's your other like it was like we're going to go fishing for smelt and here's your rig of like six hooks where you're going to catch multiple little fish at the same time.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and you're just like, what is this? And they're like, "Oh, that's a," I forget how the sizing was, but it was like good fish. You're excited about it, and you're looking at like a half a pound smelt, and you're like, "Yeah, that's good for the size. That's what I was going for." Yes. So it really felt like, I mean, that's why they call it real fishing.
Right.
And I never
Yeah,
even
holy
thought about
shit.
it. I never even thought about it before we started up this whole thing we got going on here with the REEL, real
Hmm.
fishing. Like that's how they spelt it. So maybe it's subconsciously in my brain that like
Oh,
they're
right.
real
Yeah.
fishing, we're real AF
We're real AF.
with
Yep.
two E's, guys. So
Two E's. REEL.
yep. But that was
Real
that was
AF.
a
Yep.
really cool game. I really enjoyed that because there were so many different kinds too. There
Of
was
fishing, like types of fishing, it sounds
types
like.
of
Not
fishing,
just
yeah.
fish, but types of fishing,
Right,
even.
different areas. You were going to, this place to catch these fish and this
Hmm.
area to catch these fish, like so many different kinds of fish on that and and so accurate with the ways you would go catch them and the gear you'd have different, you're going here you have a
Hmm.
spinning rod with this and you're going here you have a bait caster and just cool stuff
Damn,
like
that's
that.
so. With that game having the real backgrounds, it makes me wonder because on black bass for sure, super black bass, because we when I played more recently, you could drive around the lake. Like you'd just drive to a spot and then you'd say like, "This is where I want to fish," and then it cut
Mhm.
to the fishing screen. So with real fishing, you said it was like a real image and then they, animate over
Yeah.
it
Yep.
essentially. So were there spots that you had to go specifically, or were you
Yeah.
still cruising around the lake or the water or whatever?
Yeah, no, you didn't cruise around the lake. It was I th- if I remember correctly, there might have been like multiple spots you could choose from,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like fixed. You know, you're
Mm-hmm.
fishing
Yeah.
here. It
Yep.
wa-
But still fun.
yeah, dude, that part was more like the game was just like, nope. In January, this is the spot. You don't need to move anyplace else. We got you.
Ah,
Fish right
mm-hmm.
here.
Yep.
And you're just like,
It,
totally, I'm going with it because I don't know what I'm doing. I've never fished a rig with 7 hooks on it before for smelt. Like,
right.
let's go for it.
But it seemed realistic enough where you could actually even kind of learn from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's
for
fucking
sure.
cool. I had
Yeah.
no idea. I didn't even on my notes. I didn't even have a PS2 game on there. Like I had 50 over 50 games for PS2. Never had a fishing one. I didn't. I had nothing down. I have like SNES, PlayStation, PC. Even I played a little bit during the transition between PlayStation and PlayStation 2. We had this one called Trophy Bass 2 for PC. Dude, fucking A. That was actually where I fell in love with catfish,
Dude.
the idea of catfishing, because
Yeah.
it was a bass fishing game, but there were these big fucking catfish. So just like black bass, there was just these huge shadows, and you could tell which fish they were by the
Yeah.
shape of the shadow. And
Dude,
I remember us trying to catch like 100-pounder catfish. It would take forever, dude.
is
You'd
Trophy
literally be
Bass?
fighting them.
Yeah, is Trophy Bass the one that I'm thinking of? That sounds
Not
familiar.
no, because you could drive around the boat on that one, and that
Mm,
was just PC. I know it was just PC for sure.
okay. Yeah, that one might
But
not
you
have
could
been.
drive around the boat too. I mean, if I had to say, I would say like trophy bass was a direct like next gen representation of black bass.
Trophy Bass might have been that cool one. Well, I don't know. I remember there was one, and I don't know if this was real. I can't remember. There was one fishing game where I remember there was like this kind of a tale that was like, yeah, so and so used to come up to this
Mm,
cabin and they'd walk back and then they could never remember how to get to this little pond. But
what?
but they one day it was super foggy and they ended up walking out there and stumbling upon this fog. And you keep choosing to go to your fishing spot. And then one of the really foggy
What?
days you just ended up going to the secret spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was like
There was like a story
yeah,
built into the
and it
fishing
was
game.
just yeah, and it was just like you were talking about, like you could see the dark shadows, and
Yep.
you get back to this place and you're like, oh my god, that shadow's huge, and you're like, I've made it to the secret spot, I'm about to land a lunker.
That's fucking awesome. I love the idea of just having a fishing like having a story in a fishing game. That sounds fucking sweet.
Yeah, it was a
Especially
really
the
cool idea.
secret spot, right? The secret spot. That's always
Yeah,
the thing.
yeah, and you would just choose to go to the fishing spot every time, and then this like one random time they're just like, you've done what Uncle Joe did. You got lost in the fog, the secret spot.
That's really cool. That's actually a really fun concept of like getting lost in the fog and that you can't find the secret spot but until you get lost and stumble upon it.
Right.
I like
Yep.
that. I
Yeah, it's not
like
like
that.
you can just choose to go to it. You have to keep
Mhm.
going to the one spot until you get lost.
Right. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
And uh the so I know you had a Wii and you guys played a lot of
Mhm.
Wii.
Mhm.
Uh, but to go before I get into that, the PlayStation they had a game called Bass Landing that came with it had a fishing reel controller. Like
Yes.
it had a fishing reel controller. I sent you a photo. I bought one recently at let's see, High Score Games here
Yes, that thing looks
around
so
my area.
sweet. It's the PlayStation controller, so you have the uh what is the word? The
The analog stick? Is that where you're
no,
going?
and the different the signature. That's the word I was looking for. The signature uh
Mm,
colored, you know, square, circle, triangle, X
mm-hmm.
on there, and you're just like, that is a
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation controller, but it is also
Oh
a
yeah.
fishing reel, and it looks so dope. Like I just
Yeah.
want that. Like I don't even need to play a game. I just want that. I just want to put it on a wall.
Yeah, it's just its own decoration, right? I thought about
Yeah,
putting it in my video game geek case, actually. I thought about putting it in there because it's
yeah,
fucking cool, but it's just not totally the aesthetic that I'm going for. But it
right,
is like I bought it because I want to do like to talk more about real AFTV is like I want to do video game crossovers, and I think fishing games would be great because one, there's not a lot of it on Twitch, and it'd be fun to do it live, I think. But anyways, that's a different thing. Is I bought it because, dude, I you know that PS2 and PS1 were very compatible with each other. I wonder if it would work if you still have real fishing. I wonder if that controller would work with real fishing also. Like if it's built in to work. I don't know, but it'd be worth
Probably.
a shot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that can all do. I would guess it
I,
all depends on what that controller's programmed to do. Like, if, the reel just holds down the X button or whatever, and that's all you were
mm-hmm.
supposed to do, like, I don't see
Yeah,
why it
well,
wouldn't.
yeah, it's actually so there's the dual analog stick, right? This came out in when dual analog stick was required. So
Hmm.
a lot of PS1 games didn't require the dual stick.
Yeah.
And this game actually had different controller settings, so depending on what you had plugged in. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. The point being is the reel on the controller
Hmm.
is actually one of the analog sticks. So
Mm.
if you plugged in a straight up DualShock 2 or DualShock in that case,
Hmm.
um, it was like the right stick, moving the right stick in a circle is how you would reel.
Mm. I want,
So
yeah.
yeah,
I know
it
that
just
that was
depends on if the
never
game has
how,
that built in.
yeah, I know that was never how I landed any of those fish, but yeah, I guess have to just go in the settings and see if there's a,
Controller config for that.
yeah.
Because that controller's dope, dude. I remember we had one originally, so I bought this one because the original one actually ended up breaking from fishing so much. It just ended up reeling and getting hyped, and it broke because it has motion sensor in it too. So
Mm.
it actually simulates the pulling back through a motion sensor, which is the first I
Nice.
can think about a motion sensor that I ever owned.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it's fucking cool. I really liked that. But again, that we were fishing electronically because we weren't fishing regularly. Like,
Right, right, right,
so we
right.
just buy fishing games. But the reason why I brought that up is because that controller was fucking sweet, and of course, we was just a shovelware machine. And you remember they'd sell like the tennis racket and the tiny little baseball bat. They had a
Hmm.
ton of fishing ones too. We actually had one. It worked okay. Did you ever? Because you guys got into Wii pretty big.
Hmm.
Did you ever have any shit like that? Did you? Because
Uh,
you had some of the accessories, but
they
did you ever
had
have a fishing one?
yeah, they had one where it was, how they had the regular, like rectangle controller, and then you had the nunchuck that was just the one analog stick on it with like one trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
so we had a reel that was the the rectangle one went into like the rod part, and then the
Yeah.
nunchuck would go into, like, that would be your handle for the reel,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how you would fish. Like, if you didn't have that rod, you would literally just hold that nunchuck, like you would just hold the rod and then you'd swing the nunchuck in a circle. But we had a
Mm-hmm.
little white casing that made it, like, put it together as a fishing reel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I had I think there was like a Kevin Van Dam bass fishing
Oh
game.
shit, really?
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't great. I'm not knocking it, but I don't know if it's,
Yeah. That's why I preface this whole
yeah.
thing with
I think
we
that
was
one,
full of shovelware. Shovelware just meaning
yeah.
shit software.
I
Like,
think that
oh,
one,
there's a billion of these things in the world. Let's just make a junky game that uses these cool new motion controllers. Like we're
right.
living in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, I mean, I think that one was more like it was a tournament fishing setup. So you're trying to tournament fish. And
Yeah, and
I
that's how
just,
that one on the Trophy Best 2 that we played on PC was like that. And then you could go free fish, so we just fished for
yeah,
the catfish, but it was a trophy bass, like it meant bass tournament fishing game. That's what it was.
right. Yeah. Jesus,
And
man. I'm gonna grab the laptop and take a step over to the right here. Sorry to
oh,
interrupt
okay.
this podcast,
No.
but I got to get over to, my house is old and it has baseboard heaters, and I am recording in what is ironically enough Sam's old room. Sam lived with us for a little while while
Oh,
he was going to
that's right.
school, and
Yeah.
I'm recording in the back room here, and it was cold before, so I turned the heat on, and these
And you're
thermostats are
sweating your balls off
wildly
now?
inaccurate, and dude, it's got to be like 90 degrees in here. I'm just sweating doing nothing. I can't take it anymore.
Oh shit, that's so funny. Did you know that PS3 had a like Rapala had put out a PS3 controller too? So
Yes.
back they even had one.
Yeah,
It looked cool
Rapala
as
had
fuck,
a
but I'd
really
never seen one in
cool.
real life.
It was too much money to get the whole thing, but Rapala had a really cool, if I'm remembering it correctly, the whole box and everything that it came in was like a
Mm-hmm.
little tackle box. It was sweet.
Damn, that's cool. I remember it, the black and the red, the contrast, and it was really fucking cool. And it was a completely new controller, just like the one I was talking about that I did buy for the PS1. But this one was, of course, wireless because, hey, fucking A.
Right.
PS3 finally had wireless controllers built into the system. And yeah, I remember it looking cool as shit. But I swear to God, I saw one on clearance at Fleet Farm or some, like basically some farm store back when the PS3 was going out. And of course, I didn't buy it. I was like, ah, whatever. That's just a thing. Now I'm kind of like, fuck, I wish I had it. But that controller actually looked really dope. But I don't know anybody who played that game.
Yeah, I think I was gonna I think I really wanted to get it, but because it came with a controller, and I think that's the only way you could fish it back then. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure, but I think like right when it came out, they're like it's $90, and I'm like, shit, I like
Yeah.
fishing games, but I'm not ready to drop $90 on a fishing game.
Well, yeah, actually, that's what I was kind of getting at when I said the last time I saw one was on clearance at like a farm store, but it was still way too much. Like I was just like, no, I'm not spending that much money on that because, yeah, it came with a controller. It was priced realistically, but it just, yeah, it
Right,
when
yeah,
a game
I'm
goes
right.
up that high, it just puts it out in a certain like echelon of game where
Yeah,
it's
it
kind of
was
like I'm
like
not
that.
gonna do that.
Yeah, I mean, not to get off. I'm not trying to get off on a tangent about it, but it was like that garbage ass Tony Hawk game that you had to buy it with that
Tony Hawk
skateboard.
Ride.
When you had to buy it with that skateboard controller, wasn't that Tony Hawk?
Yeah, it was Tony Hawk Ride. That's what it was called.
Oh,
It
is
was called
that?
Tony Hawk Ride.
I thought you said Tony Hawk died, and I'm like, yeah, it kind of
Oh
killed it.
no. Yeah, yeah, that did kill the Tony Hawk franchise. Yes,
Yeah,
it
they're
did.
just like, oh, here's this stupid ass controller, and they're just like, yeah, you really can't do real tricks on it. That'll break the controller. And then you're like, well, what are you supposed to do? Well, you just stand on it, and then you use it like a controller, and everybody's like, this is the dumbest thing ever. Plus, I got to spend like $120.
Yeah, yeah, it's just horrible.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing. I love fishing. I love fishing video games. I'm not gonna spend that much to go fishing on my
Yeah.
PlayStation. Like I'd rather just
Hmm.
get out there and go fishing for real.
And do it for yeah, not
Because
to.
if I'm
Mhm.
gonna spend time fishing on a PlayStation, I'm totally down with that. But I'm not gonna spend a lot of money on it because real fishing costs money. So
Right.
so
Yeah,
I'd
it's a
rather
balance of two hobbies.
right. And if I'm
Hmm.
gonna drop money on a video game, I'd rather it's something that I'm really gonna lose myself in. I love
Right.
the stories of a good game, and at that time too, it was like we don't even know if this game's gonna be any good. You know, the, not all fishing games are created equally, just like not all video games are created equally. There's some really bad fishing video games out there.
Oh yeah.
There's been plenty of oh my Jesus. There was a second generation RX-7 that was
What?
all like drift card out that just drove past the window. White front,
Oh,
yellow in the middle, and then red in the back, and it just
holy
looked dope.
shit. Yeah.
And he was just downshifting, and it just boom.
Oh, it just yeah.
I saw ordered some Chinese food. Went through the drive-through for some Chinese takeout because we were sick of making food for the
Yep.
quarantine.
Yep.
Because you could still go through drive-throughs, and
Yes, you can.
I saw a really dope red third generation RX-7
Oh,
last night, and
shit.
uh, a GTR, like the new Skyline,
Oh,
while I was
shit. No
waiting
kidding.
there. Yeah, so
Damn.
that was a good night.
No kidding. Fuck.
So,
Oh,
anyways, got a little
anyways.
bit sidetracked by that car driving
Yeah.
past the
No.
window
Yeah.
here.
That
I opened the
happens.
window because
That's.
I'm so goddamn hot.
Oh shit. Yeah, well, that's gonna happen. I hope side rants happen. I'm down with side tangents on
Oh, yeah.
podcasts. I think it's fucking hilarious. And also, look, a little insight that we're into fast, kick-ass looking Japanese cars. There you go. Now you know.
Yeah, I'm into pretty much anything Japanese. Like, I like
Word.
video games. I like uh fast cars. I like most of the stuff coming out of Japan as far as fishing goes. Uh,
Oh
Daiwa,
shit.
Shimano. Like, I'm pretty sure
Oh.
those are both Japanese companies. I don't know for
Mm-hmm.
sure, but
Mm-hmm.
they sound Japanese, so call me racist if you want to, but I'm pretty sure those are both Japanese
But
companies.
yeah,
Um, no, no, for sure. That was just kind of joking as far as
I
like
know.
guessing
I
about
got you.
it, but I'm pretty sure that Daiwa is Japanese for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Shimano
Mm-hmm.
might not be, but God, does that sound Japanese or what? Shimano.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, again, I know you were joking about the name thing. Like you do your
Yeah,
research on this shit, so you're like, yeah, so I'm pretty sure.
yeah, and
Last time I looked that up 5 years ago.
yeah, and that's quality stuff. I love Daiwa. I really like. They're very innovative over there. That's a whole nother topic to
Oh,
get into some other
nice.
time, but
Oh, yeah, I
their
was
their
gonna say
T
write that
wing,
one down, huh?
yeah, their T wing system in the their bait casting reels are super cool. I really enjoy the innovation over there. Um, but yeah, Japanese girls.
So yeah.
Back to Japanese things. They're nice.
No.
If my wife is listening, I'm not kidding. I was gonna say just kidding, but I'm not. So whatever. I'm not trying to go get with them, but they're cute, so deal with it. I shouldn't say all of them. That's racist to say they're all cute. They're not all cute. That's being racist if I lump them all in and say they're all the same. They're
Yeah.
not all cute. Some of them are ugly.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about you, but I mean that's good. I got one more note about video games, but shit, we've been doing this for an hour and 40 minutes already, and I was saying most of that away from the mic. Not very fucking professional of me. What an idiot. Anyways, I think we can. I think we can wrap this shit up.
I
What
think
did
we
you
can wrap it
miss?
up
Oh,
too
I
because I
know.
gotta go wrap that.
Hmm.
I literally gotta go wrap it up because it's time to put the ribs in the tinfoil.
Oh yeah, shit. So we'll wrap it up. I know one thing we missed is the Real AF podcast, Real AF TV podcast. We're going to try to do twice a month right now, right? Just get out the podcast and then hopefully put it up on YouTube as a podcast too. Like just sort of what we talked about at the beginning. We're trying to do it twice a month. Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably we haven't picked exact dates, but I'm guessing we'll probably try to release it like every Thursday or Monday. Like so it'd be like the first Monday and the first Thursday. Yeah. Anyways, we'll try to get it out one of those days. Just it'll be like the first Monday of the month and the third Monday of the month,
sure. Yeah,
depending on which day we choose. But twice a month, I think we can make that happen, and then we'll try to do other stuff as we can.
yeah, and
Um,
you'll hear updates on future podcasts once we nail down stuff because if we can get it more frequently, get stuff coming out, I'm sure things will
mm-hmm,
change in the future here. But yeah,
for
tentatively,
sure.
that's what we're planning on right now. Plus, trying to throw down Tuesday podcasts uh, on some
Yep.
gear because I'm gonna have a lot more time to just show people how I fish instead of actually getting out fishing this year.
Mm-hmm.
So we might
Wait,
as well.
for what it is, bad or good, you can make something out of it.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys have means of fishing and you can get out there, I'll show you how I catch the fish. And one of these
Yeah.
one of these days, I'd like to fish some tournaments and show people that I know what I'm doing. Damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, we should actually could look into it because when I was snowboarding, there was just all kinds of amateur shit. I wondered
Oh
what there
yeah,
is for
it's
amateur
not
like
hard
stuff
to
you can
get.
just.
Yeah, it's not hard to get into a tournament, but a real big
Hmm.
thing is that you kind of need to have a boat. That's pretty important. You know,
Yep.
I know that
Right. And
some
you already
people
talked
have
about
like
that. Yep.
partners that you can go fishing with or whatever. So,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
but yeah, plus
Oh shit.
having a 2-year-old is now like I don't really have
Another
a
thing you're working on figuring out
yes,
with
like
fishing.
well right now I mean he's so dependent on us, and it's not like he can just
Hmm.
I mean he can do things on his own, but it's not like you can just be like, all right guy, I'm gonna go do this. Like he just doesn't fully grasp it yet, so it's really hard to
Hmm.
be like, I'm gonna leave for the afternoon.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. I mean, he's a 2-year-old human. I think
right,
most people get that.
yes,
2-year-old human. It's just
two
there. There you go. I have a 2-year-old human I have to watch after.
2-year-old little dude who is getting
But
so funny. I'm not not
yeah.
gonna go off on a tangent, but last night, not last night, yesterday morning, we were eating breakfast, and I made some homemade waffles, and we're eating and stuff, and he finishes what he has, and he turns to my wife and slowly, calmly just says, "I need waffles." And we both start laughing,
Yes.
and then he starts laughing with us, like,
Right. Oh, that's great. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. That's a good note to end on. I like it. I like ending on a laugh. So
yeah,
let's
yeah,
see. We're on Twitter. And what are we on Twitter? Real AF underscore TV because they don't allow for dots, I
yeah,
think.
and you can't put dots, and some other dickbag, probably a bot, has real AF TV just as it
Yeah.
is.
Just sitting on it, which is actually supposed to be not allowed on Twitter. But anyways, we won't fight that fight. We are realaf.tv on Instagram though,
Right.
and then Real AF TV straight up just Real AF TV on Facebook,
Yes.
and the website will be going soon. I'm not sure what we're gonna do about that. So either way, we'll be realaf.tv when we get that going. But if you go there now, it's just not gonna do anything.
Is it
But
real A
actually, I have plans we haven't even talked about.
is it realaf.tv or realaftv.com?
What you want to go to? Either one, baby. We're
Or
there.
or realaf.com?
Oh, you want that one too? Sure. It'll take you to us.
Boom. Doesn't matter, really. Just remember it's two E's. That's how you're gonna find
R E
us.
E.
R
Yeah,
E
that's
E
right.
L
Real.
A F T V. What
That's
does the
it.
AF stand for? Whatever you want it
Why
to,
don't
buddy.
Why don't you tell us in the comments?
Tell us.
How about you guys tell us what the AF stands
Are
for?
are we American fishermen? Are
Are we
we
amateur fishermen?
are we Alfred Funches? I don't know who that guy
Oh
is. Could be.
shit. I don't know either. I was just trying to roll with it.
Right. I don't know. I'm just saying things too.
Just making up names.
Yeah,
All
I've
right.
had a couple of drinks as we've been going on here, so I might be rambling a little bit. Probably.
Might
Who
be a little.
knows?
I should have went and got more. I forget. I should have, but my nerves went away once we started talking. It was weird that I got nerves when we hit record.
Yeah, you were like, I got a little bit of nerves going, but I had a couple shots, and I'm like, I got no nerves, but there's alcohol in front of me. So here we
So
go.
fuck it.
Here we
We've been
go.
doing this for an hour and 45 minutes. Let's do this.
I'm not driving anywhere. I'm making ribs.
Fuck yeah. Let's get you back to those ribs. So thank you everybody. I am Josh
Yes.
Shabaugh. That is Tim Wagner over there. What
Whoop,
do you got
whoop.
to say for closing? You got anything you want to say?
Uh, just get out there, man. Go fishing. Have fun. Don't let anybody tell you what you're doing is wrong, because there's no right way to do it.
That's right. This is the first episode of the Real AF podcast, the show where we talk about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. I ran out of fucking breath doing that one. Did you hear that? And I had to take a deep breath in the middle of that. Jeez.
It happens. I muted the mic a couple of times to just really just take a big deep breath in and exhale, and just like, I don't want that on the mic, so
Good, thank you, because I don't want to have to edit the hell out of this thing.
Hey, I'm trying.